Am I the jerk for not talking much when I'm at my dad's house? Since I, a 16-year-old male, was a kid, I have had times where I deal with selective mutism because of my stutter. When I have a really bad time with my stutter, it can trigger the mutism. There are also times when I am really uncomfortable, and it triggers even before the stutter can. There are situations where I talk way less or hardly talk to be more comfortable. My dad's house has been one of those places since I was 7. It is when my dad moved his wife and her children in. Her children used to laugh when I talked, and she would ask me to repeat myself multiple times because she could not understand me. My dad also made a mistake by bringing her along to my speech appointments as soon as they were living together. I was not comfortable with this and did not like it, so I ended up talking way less at his house. I still talk occasionally, but I am not comfortable around his family. It is worse when his wife's parents visit, which happens roughly once a year, because I do not say a word during their visits. This bothers his wife, and her children think I am weird because I am either extremely quiet, as they describe it, or talk so strangely. My dad tried family therapy, but communication was tricky. He refused to have sessions with just me and him, as the therapist wanted, and he quit. He tried again with a different therapist who made the same suggestion, and he quit again. My dad's wife told my dad they need to figure something out about me because it unnerves her how quiet I am. She does not like feeling bad in her own house, and that is how she feels when I am there and hardly talking, or when I never talk when her family visits. Dad brought me out and we talked about it over the weekend. I told him, for the millionth time, that I am just not comfortable. He told me I could try harder and show them that we are a family and I can be just as comfortable around them as I am around him, my mom, and my biological family members. I told him I cannot show them that because I am not comfortable. I told him I talk some, mostly to his wife, but I am always going to be quieter than he might like. He wanted to bring his wife to my speech therapist again, and I said no. I told him I am not okay with that. He told me my mom already said no, and he was hoping I would answer differently. He told me it feels like I am trying to destroy the life he has built, and that it is a terrible thing to have people in the family this long and say so little to them. He believes his house should be one of the 2 places I can talk, and he has worked so hard to do that for me. So he knows I am just being selfish and stubborn. Am I the asshole? You haven't done anything wrong. Your dad sounds terrible and seems completely unaware of how uncomfortable and unwelcome he makes you feel. At 16, most courts will listen to what you want in a custody arrangement, so it might be worth expressing your preferences. Your dad shouldn't be harassing you about how much you talk, and there's no reason his wife needs to be involved in your speech therapy. It's clear he hasn't done anything to help you feel comfortable speaking around his family, and it's unfair for him to expect you to continue trying when all you've received is mockery and hate. Am I the jerk? My family changed plans, and then left without me when I am the one who originally made the plans. My family and I were supposed to do an escape room and get a bite to eat near where my older sister and I work. We planned this a week ago, and everyone in my family knew I had to work in the early evening today. On the day of the plans, my sister called me to tell me that they changed the location to a place an hour away, give or take traffic. Since these changes were not part of the original plans, they suggested we could carpool with my older sister. However, I did not want to worry about potentially ruining anybody else's plans if they wanted to do something while they were out in that area. I explained that I did not want to travel that far away to do something that would take 2 hours and then have to drive right back to make it in time for work. I asked why we could not stick with the original plan, as that was the one that originally worked for all of us and I would not have to worry about making it back to work in time. My older sister then revoked the carpool option, saying they did not want to deal with me needing to get back to work. My whole family disagreed with me, saying that I would make it back to work in time and that I should go because these plans were for one of my sister's birthdays, and they wanted to go. However, keep in mind they did not know about this place until I had suggested it, and once again, not for today. My sisters got mad because I was trying to persuade them to stick to our original plan. My older sister kept telling me how I was making it stressful. She was very angry and said that I could either choose to go or not, and that it was for her birthday. Although I had originally made these plans for today as something to celebrate, it was not directly for her birthday. It was more for us to hang out with family and do something. I am not sure where this solely for her birthday idea came from, especially because her birthday is actually tomorrow, which we are going to celebrate. My older sister called me to tell me that I ruined everything and that they're not going to go because they did not want to make me feel left out. She suddenly started agreeing with the fact that I could be late to work or not make it in time, and so they are not going anywhere because I messed up the vibe. I called my other sister to tell her to just go without me. My other sister was very upset and said that I was exaggerating and that I would be able to make it back to work and that this was our time to spend together. I told her I knew I had planned this to be a family day, but I needed to make sure that I got back to work in time. I no longer wanted to be a part of the family plans as no one was considering my time constraint. They did in fact leave, and I am still very upset as what was originally supposed to be a day of fun has now turned into a day where everyone is doing something without me. I had originally come up with the idea to do something today. You are not the one at fault. So the family changed the plans to a place an hour away, which is super inconvenient without a good reason. It seems really unfair that they decided to make it about your sister's birthday and completely disregarded your work commitments. This kind of behavior would definitely upset anyone. Am I the jerk for having a crib in my room? So, a little backstory. My sister, who is a 24-year-old single mother, has not moved out. Ever since she had her child, I have been helping her every day and every night. I have been going to college, so I help before I go and when I come back, which is sometimes very late at night. I take care of her child more than she does, and she never seems to appreciate it. Almost 2 months ago, she put my nephew's crib in my room. I obviously said no because I am not going to have the place where I rest after college and after taking care of the baby taken over. However, they still do it without my permission. I stay in my room during the day, and then my nephew goes to sleep in it at night with my sister. I have been fed up with it for the longest time, and I cannot take it anymore because it has become a mental strain, sharing my space with a baby. I do not even get to have much time to myself because I am with her child every day while she smokes, watches TV shows all day, and talks to her friends. I am 18 years old and trying to find a job, so I obviously have nowhere to go. I have been stressed beyond capacity. I told my mother today that I want the crib out of my room and I want my space back without any more of his things in there. She and my family got mad at me and said that it is not the child's fault and that my sister has nowhere to go. I told them to put the crib back where it used to be because she put him in my room solely because I have a TV in my room. I started explaining that I have had enough. I have become a full-time babysitter and I cannot take it anymore. I said it is either the crib goes or I leave. My mother tried to convince my sister and they had a back and forth. My mother said that my 16-year-old sister had left the house because of her. She would always harass her, argue with her, and give the baby to her. She went to live with her boyfriend back in our home country. My mother said that she would also be the reason I want to leave too, and she started crying because she was hurt. My family started feeling sorry for her and ganged up on me, calling me a bad sibling. I said fine, forget it, and now I do not know what to do anymore. Take that crib out of your room and put it in your parents' room and see how they act. It's not your responsibility to take care of your sister's baby, especially while you're in college. Your sister made her own decisions, and she should be the one looking after her child. If your parents are so concerned, they can take care of the baby themselves. Am I the jerk for refusing to cover up a tattoo I have matching with my ex? I, a 24-year-old male, have been dating my current partner, a 23-year-old male whom I will call Cake, for 5 months. Before him, I was in a relationship with my ex, a 24-year-old female whom I will call L. Our relationship lasted 6 years and ended badly on both sides. This is a sensitive subject since K has borderline personality disorder, BPD, and has labeled me as his favorite person, which means he can be very jealous and possessive sometimes. To protect our peace, I never bring her up with him. I have a small tattoo above my ankle that matches with L at first glance. It is nothing too personal. It is just thin line work of a flower, her choice. And I have good memories attached to it, regardless of how our relationship ended. The issue is that Kay had not known about this tattoo, as I never thought it was important to bring it up with him. However, some days ago, he happened to see it and got curious about it. He asked why I kept it hidden. I did not. It just happens to be in a place that is always covered in some way or another, and what it meant, as I am not a flower enthusiast by any means. I felt bad about lying to him, so I just told the truth, making sure to emphasize how it did not mean the same to me anymore. I still thought it was a nice tattoo. Kay got very upset, went home, and then texted me demanding I get the tattoo covered up or removed. He said I would not be hesitant about it if I cared about him and that this clearly shows I have not gotten over L. He even offered to pay for laser removal or a cover-up piece, and then insisted if I picked the cover-up, it had to be something matching with him now. I explained I had no intention of removing it. Laser removal sounds expensive and tedious, and I did not want to get another tattoo over it either, since it would have to be a bigger piece. I am not a tattoo enthusiast, but to be honest, the main reason is that I just do not want to get another matching tattoo with anyone again. I am at a loss here. He is refusing to talk to me and texted me saying he does not want to see me unless it is to book an appointment together. I know this is probably his mental illness talking for him, but he has never gotten this upset at me before. I am used to talking him down from being extremely self-deprecating, but this I am unequipped to deal with. I cannot help but feel like a jerk for not going along with it and letting things go back to normal since the issue is fully on me this time. So, am I the jerk? You are not at fault here. Your man is demanding you get a tattoo removed or covered up after just 5 months together. That should tell you enough. His jealousy and possessiveness, to the point where you don't talk about former relationships to protect our peace, are major red flags. Withholding attention until you bend to his demands is not indicative of a mature person or relationship. Aita, for asking my partner for 2 to 3 days a week without any computer time. I have been with my boyfriend for 3 years, and we have lived together for 1. We used to spend a lot of time together before moving in, but after moving in, the planning stopped. For the past 5 to 6 months, I have been asking him to make plans, but it has been an ongoing struggle. Despite having multiple conversations, the effort fades after a week. Now, I almost have to beg him to spend time with me. He plays video games non-stop, 7 days a week, and does not do anything else. Even if he plays all week, he complains if there is one day he does not get to play. I used to ask him to do things with me, but the constant rejection led me to give up. Even when we try to hang out at home, he suddenly disappears, only for me to find him on his computer. When I confronted him about it, he would say things like, "Oh, I just had to finish up one thing," or claim he did not know I wanted him to stay the whole time. This all came to a head yesterday when I broke down. I asked him to sit down and I told him, "I love you, but we barely spend any time together, and I'm starting to feel concerned that you spend too much time on your computer. It feels like I am competing with the games. Even when we go out, it feels like we are rushing home so you can play. I think it would be nice for you to set aside 2 to 3 days with no computer so we can spend time together without distractions." He just said, "Ok," but I could tell he was not really listening. When I asked if he understood what I was asking, he replied, "Yes, you want me to spend more time with you." I clarified, saying, "Yes, but the main point is that I think there should be days where you are not on the computer so I can have your undivided attention." At this point, he started yelling, "No, stop trying to control me." He accused me of adding demands and trying to take away the one thing he enjoys, saying he needs it every day to distress. When I asked why he could not do this for me, he said it was unreasonable. He also claimed that we have been spending more time together, but when I pointed out that it is still not enough, he said, "It is not going to happen all at once," which really hurt because it felt like he does not prioritize our relationship. I told him, "Please stop yelling at me. I cannot talk to you or listen to what you are saying when you yell at me," and he responded, "I am going to yell if I want to, and you are going to listen to me." I told him through tears that when he treats me like this, it does not feel like he loves me. His response was a nonchalant, "Well, you figure it out." Finally, I said I was leaving. He went back to his room, slammed the door, and hit something, calling me a bad name multiple times. Now, I am second-guessing myself, wondering if it is too much to ask him to go 2 or 3 days without playing on his computer and if I am being too harsh. You are not the cause of this issue, but it seems like he's really distancing himself from the relationship. It's clear that his reaction to living together is a big red flag, especially if he's making you feel like the controlling one. The problem is you both want and need different things, and it's not just about video games or independence. Instead of trying to negotiate, consider finding someone who truly values an adult relationship and is willing to meet you halfway. Am I the jerk for accepting my coworker's job? Hello, my name is Carl, and I work in a company that offers its support to other companies. There are people who visit small businesses from the main office, and there are some who get to stay at one client. On paper, everyone can do any job, but in reality, people have their typical clients. And then there is the most hated job, phone support. I was the IT person who had to drive around the city and deal with tasks from small businesses. We have a flash meeting every morning to divide the new tasks. This is for people who visit the smaller clients around the city. A coworker, who I will call Jenny, had to stay home with her sick child. Our manager asked who could cover her, as she was one of the lucky ones who had her own office, and this client's contract demanded a local IT person. I agreed to do it, as it is close to my home. I loved it there, having a private office and being able to walk to work. I found out that the people in that office were not happy with Jenny because she often kept her door locked, so the clients had to call the Aita support number and couldn't talk directly. She also refused to do anything that was not her job on paper. For example, when there was a problem with the TV, paper shredder, security system, phones, or anything else that was not strictly it, she would say, "Not my job." I, on the other hand, kept the door open and helped with pretty much anything work-related. As the workload was not that big, I had plenty of free time. The paperwork, all digital, was also messy. Within the 2 weeks I was there, I fixed most of the paperwork. On the database, I found multiple computers listed in the storage, while in reality, most were given to customers. This meant they had devices without proper documentation, so if a client broke a laptop, they were not accountable. That company asked my manager to replace Jenny with me. I would take this client, and she would go to the main office and deal with small clients in the city. I agreed. I even got a salary raise because the director of the client company decided to pay more for that contract, on the condition that the extra money would go toward my salary. All my female colleagues are now upset and call me a jerk because they believe I stole the job from a single mother and that I am raising the client's expectations too much. Am I the antagonist? You are not in the wrong. The logic that being a single parent means you can do a crappy job is flawed. Sure, raising expectations too much can shoot you in the foot, but nothing excuses bad paperwork. She didn't lose a job, she just lost the office where she got too comfortable. The main problem here is probably the low workload. People get lazy and start doing a bad job in general. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.